I now request His Excellency Professor Ahsan Iqbal, Minister for Planning, Development and Reform of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, to say a few words.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for coming here. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for coming here today to express solidarity with the people of Pakistan who have experienced worst climate disaster of recent times. Pakistan has faced floods in 2022, but as one of the most vulnerable countries to climate disasters, we face range of disasters that we experienced during 2022, starting with very high temperatures, forest fires, droughts, culminating into unprecedented floods within a short span of 4 months. Pakistan's disasters like torrential floods, glacial lake outburst flood, and just to mention that Pakistan has the highest snow after North Pole and South Pole in its northern areas, which is at the danger of melting and causing glacial lake outburst floodings. We face droughts, heat waves, earthquakes, and during this year, as I said, we have experienced almost all of them. The heat wave of 2022 was the hottest in 61 years. So I can safely say that Pakistan is in the eye of climate change storm. Disaster's return period average has become shorter from 56 years in 1929 to only 5 to 6 years in 2005. So that shows that the frequency of disasters is increasing at a rapid pace. The horror of our coming era will be born out of heat, fire, water, and snow. Ladies and gentlemen, all these disasters have impacted our economy in a very serious manner. Huge economic losses due to damage of infrastructure and loss of crops, significant losses in GDP, higher poverty rates, great risk of preventable diseases, especially to most vulnerable segments, women, children, and elderly, unprecedented recovery and reconstruction needs, degradation of ecosystem, degradation of environment and climate, job loss and disruption. Women and girls are at risk of gender-based violence and child marriage, degradation of environment and climate, hyper-poverty and hyper-malnutrition. The worst part of the floods in 2022 was that it was not only a climate disaster, but it also turned into a human tragedy as it hit the 20 poorest districts of Pakistan. So those people who were already poor, who were already malnourished, have been thrown into a cycle of hyper-poverty and hyper-malnutrition. Next, please. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 floods were of a scale never seen before. 33 million people in different parts of Pakistan were affected. More than 1,700 have lost their lives, and 1/3 of them are children, and more than 8 million are displaced. And the two provinces, Sindh and Balochistan, have been almost completely devastated. But the other provinces, Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and our special regions in the north have also been significantly impacted, but they continue to be most vulnerable to future disasters. Next. With the help of our development partners, we have also been able to identify what were the damages and losses due to these floods. We are very grateful to World Bank, Asian Development Bank, European Union, UN and its agencies and other development partners for working as a team to document in shortest possible time the post-disaster need assessment report for Pakistan, which put $14.9 billion damage and $15.23 billion of economic loss, with combined cost of over $30 billion to Pakistan's economy. This was a massive blow and hit to an economy which was just beginning to recover from crisis. And this also makes Pakistan very unique. Ladies and gentlemen, every country has faced pandemic. Every country is today facing the supply shock, but no country has experienced a disaster of this scale that Pakistan has faced. So therefore, the case of Pakistan is very different and unique. The social sectors, housing, health, education, culture and heritage had serious damages. In infrastructure, road transport, railway communication, energy, water, sanitation, municipal services, community infrastructures were damaged. In our productive sectors, agriculture, food, livestock, fisheries, water resources, irrigation, commerce, and industries were damaged, and governance, social sustainability, inclusion of gender, social protection, livelihoods were lost. Next, please. The previous one, the previous, please, the previous. And let me here share with you that Pakistan was one of the first countries to adopt Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. We called SDGs as National Development Goals. Our parliament passed a resolution to adopt Sustainable Development Goals, and we started to work on SDGs right away. But these floods, ladies and gentlemen, have washed all the gains that we made during 7 years. Almost 9 million people have been pushed into poverty. Additional 7.6 million people are facing food insecurity. 17 million women and children are at greater risk of preventable diseases. 4.3 million people with job loss and disruption to their livelihoods, and more than 600,000 women and girls at risk of gender-based violence and child marriage due to disaster situation. Next, please. Next. Next. So towards recovery, ladies and gentlemen, we have developed a 4RF framework. Its details are there in your packet also. You can read in more greater detail how to have resilient recovery, rehabilitation and reconstruction framework. The vision is an inclusive and resilient recovery through a whole of Pakistan approach, leading to sustainable development for the people and the country. The objectives are to improve governance and enhance capacity of state institutions to face the disasters and mitigate against them, restore livelihoods and economic opportunities, ensure social inclusion and participation in all aspects of recovery and related development, restore and improve basic services and physical infrastructure. And above all, also underlying important objective is to achieve sustainable climate resilience through rebuilding and re-engineering our infrastructure. Our challenge as Ministry of Planning is double. Not only we have to build a new infrastructure, a modern infrastructure for future development, we also have to re-engineer our built infrastructure to be more resilient and adaptable for future shocks. So the foundation is build back better, people-centered socio-economic recovery, building systematic resilience against natural hazards and climate change impacts. Next. The 4RF sectors have 4 major goals: governance, whose cost has been estimated at $413 billion, strategic resilience plan objective 2, agriculture, livelihood, finance markets, 4.3 billion. SRO 3, social inclusion including gender, culture, heritage, $1.7 billion. And 4, education, health, nutrition, water, sanitation, municipal services, infrastructure, energy, transport, $10.08 billion, which makes it $16.28 billion according to the PDNA. The government of Pakistan plans to do 50% of the $60 billion through its own resources and is requesting international community development partners to help it cope this burden by providing $8 billion over the next 3 years so that we can rebuild our damaged infrastructure in shortest possible time. The long-term climate resilient infrastructure development plan is over $13 billion, which involves national flood protection program and building new infrastructure or re-engineering existing infrastructure to stand against future shocks. Next. As I told you, out of $16.3 billion, the local resources we hope to mobilize are $8.15 billion, and we look forward to $8.15 billion through our friends and development partners. Next. We have worked out a number of projects in different areas, starting with forecasting and preparedness, which involves capacity building of Pakistan Met Department, Federal Flood Commission, multi-hazard early warning systems, installation and upgradation of telemetries, data center for disaster prevention. Then mobilization, rescue and relief, capacity building of National Disaster Management Authority, provincial disaster management authorities, district disaster